The storm had just begun to settle when Daniel, a worn-out single father with calloused hands and a heart far too soft for the world he lived in, drove his dented pickup down the long, empty road leading back from his night shift. Rainwater streaked across the windshield like tears refusing to fall, and the headlights carved out a narrow path through the fading darkness. He was exhausted, physically, mentally, emotionally, but he kept driving because his little girl, Emma, would be waking up soon, waiting for her father who always tried to hide just how difficult survival had become for them. But that morning, something on the roadside pulled him from his thoughts, something so unexpected and haunting that he slammed the brakes harder than he ever had in his life. A woman, drenched, shivering, bruised, and barely conscious, lay curled on the wet pavement like a broken shadow left behind by the storm. Yellow heart, if you believe kindness and second chances can change a life, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps stories like this reach more hearts. Yellow heart. For a moment, Daniel just sat there, gripping the steering wheel as the wind howled around him. He had no room in his life for trouble, not with overdue bills, a demanding job, and a daughter depending on him, but leaving her there wasn't an option. His conscience simply wouldn't allow it. He stepped out into the chilly morning, his breath fogging in the cold air as he approached her carefully. She looked young, fragile, and terrified, her clothes torn and soaked. When he bent to lift her, she let out a soft, trembling sound, a mixture of pain and fear that shot straight through him. He wrapped his jacket around her shaking body and gently carried her to the truck, praying she would survive long enough to tell him what had happened. The drive home felt endless. The woman drifted in and out of consciousness, mumbling words he couldn't piece together. Every time the truck hit a bump, she flinched violently, as if expecting another blow. Daniel kept glancing at her, wrestling with thoughts he wished he didn't have. Had someone done this to her? Was she running from something, or someone, dangerous? What would he do if trouble followed? But then he looked at her again, at the bruises blooming across her face, and he knew, fear or not, he couldn't turn his back on someone who clearly had no one else. When they reached his small, humble home, dawn was just beginning to break. Soft orange light spilled over the quiet street as Daniel carried the woman inside. Emma shuffled out of her bedroom, rubbing her eyes, her tiny voice whispering, "Daddy," before she froze at the sight of the battered stranger in his arms. Daniel assured her everything was okay and tucked the woman onto the sofa. He cleaned her wounds as best as he could with trembling hands, his heart pounding every time she winced. He wanted answers, but he didn't dare push her. Not yet. First she needed warmth, safety, and dignity, things she clearly hadn't had in a long time. Hours later, when she finally woke fully, her eyes met his with fear so deep it made him step back. He saw someone who had suffered far beyond what the body could show. She tried to sit up, but her strength faltered. Daniel gently helped her and handed her a glass of water. She held it with shaky hands, her lower lip trembling as if words were trapped inside her. Slowly, carefully, she managed to speak, and her voice was hoarse, almost cracking. She explained that her name was Maya and that she had escaped after years of living with a man who controlled everything she did, a man whose anger had become unpredictable and violent. Last night had been the worst, she said. She thought she was going to die. Somehow, through sheer desperation, she managed to slip away while he was distracted. She ran, barefoot and bleeding, until she collapsed on the road where Daniel found her. Daniel felt something heavy sink inside him. He couldn't imagine the terror she must have endured, the courage it must have taken to run toward the unknown. But what stunned him the most wasn't the violence she had suffered, it was what she revealed next. Maya had been searching for a safe place because she was pregnant, only a few months, and she feared for the life inside her. The realization hit Daniel like a tidal wave. He had always believed life had given him more hardship than he deserved, but now, looking at Maya, he understood how much worse it could be for someone trapped with no escape. And knowing she was carrying a child made everything feel even more urgent, more fragile, more heartbreaking. Over the next few days, Maya remained in Daniel's home. She insisted she didn't want to bring danger to their doorstep, but she couldn't walk far, and Daniel refused to let her go anywhere until she healed. Emma, with her innocent kindness, began sitting beside Maya every morning, offering drawings and tiny toys as gifts. Maya cried quietly the first time Emma hugged her. It had been years since someone had touched her without hurting her. Daniel worked double shifts to earn enough for food and medicines, often coming home exhausted yet strangely motivated. Having Maya there reminded him that helping someone in need wasn't a burden, it was a privilege. He watched her slowly regain color in her cheeks, watched her shoulders relax little by little, watched her realize she was safe. But one evening, everything changed. As Daniel arrived home, Maya stood at the door, trembling, holding a folded piece of paper. She had found it slipped under the doorstep, a threatening note from the man she fled. He had found her. Daniel's stomach twisted. Fear roared through him, but beneath it burned something stronger, determination. He would not let that man harm her again. Whatever happened, he would protect her, just as he protected Emma. With the help of authorities, neighbors, and his own steady courage, Daniel ensured Maya was taken to a safe shelter for abused women. He promised he would check on her, promised she wasn't alone anymore. Weeks later, Maya called him from the shelter. Her voice was full of life this time, hopeful and steady. She thanked him for everything, his compassion, his safety, his kindness, and told him something that made his chest tighten. She had chosen her baby's middle name, Daniel. To honor the man who saved her life when she had nothing left. Yellow Heart, if this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe so more people can feel the power of kindness. Yellow Heart. Before the ending, please comment below what moment in the story moved you the most. Maya eventually rebuilt her life from the ground up. Daniel continued raising Emma with the same quiet strength. And though their paths grew different, their hearts stayed connected by one unforgettable truth: even the poorest hands can offer the richest kindness, and sometimes, saving someone else becomes the very thing that saves you too.